I never meant to climb into the trunk of Leandro Ferrante's car. The rain slashed down that night, cold and relentless. My lip was split open. My ribs throbbed with every panicked breath. Stefano had finally lost the last of his control. His fists, his screams, his hatred crashing into me until I broke free and ran barefoot through the alley behind the club. Blood mixed with rainwater, trailing behind me as I searched for any escape. My purse was still clutched in my hand, old instinct, even in terror. ID phone, the last remnants of a life I was fleeing. I spotted the black Mercedes idling at the curb, tinted windows, no one visible inside. I didn't hesitate. I popped the trunk and crawled in, curling tight beside a spare tire and a leather duffel that carried the faint scent of gun oil and cedar. My purse crushed beneath me. The lid shut. Darkness closed over me. I thought I was hidden. Then the car dipped as someone heavy settled into the driver's seat. The engine, already running, purred deeper. We pulled away from the curb. My heart hammered so loud I was sure he'd hear it. He did. The car slowed, stopped. The trunk opened. Night air rushed in, carrying the sharp bite of rain and the subtle trace of his cologne, something expensive, dark, dangerous. A silhouette loomed against the streetlight. Broad shoulders, face carved from shadow, eyes black as oil. He didn't speak. He just looked at me, shaking, bruised, bleeding onto his pristine trunk liner. I waited for rage, for a gun, for orders barked into a phone. Instead, he reached in, slow and deliberate. His fingers brushed wet hair from my cheek. The touch was light, but it seared me. "You're hurt," he murmured, voice low, controlled, lethal. I couldn't speak. My throat was raw from screaming Stefano's name, begging him to stop. He studied the marks on my face, my throat, my arms. Something cold and murderous flickered in his eyes. Not for me. Then he leaned close, so close his breath grazed my ear. "You're mine now." The words sank straight into my bloodstream. Not a question, not a threat, a claim. He lifted me out like I weighed nothing, set me in the passenger seat beside him, closed the door. The car glided forward again, silent through the storm-slick streets. I knew who he was. Everyone in Naples knew. Leandro Ferrante, head of the Ferrante family, the man who owned the ports, the clubs, the silence of judges, the man whose name was spoken only in whispers when bodies vanished, ruthless, untouchable, beautiful, like a weapon, clean, sharp, fatal. I should have begged him to let me go. I didn't. I sat beside him, trembling while he drove. His profile was stone, one hand on the wheel, the other resting on his thigh, scarred knuckles catching the passing streetlights. He took me to his penthouse above the bay. No words to guards, no explanations. Just a low command in Italian, privacy, absolute. Inside, the lights were dim, marble floors, windows staring out over black water. He set me on a leather couch and returned with a first aid kit. He cleaned the cut on my lip himself, his touch precise. Careful. Like he'd stitched his own wounds 100 times, like he'd caused 1,000 more. I flinched when the antiseptic burned. His gaze locked on mine, held. "You don't have to fear me," he said. I almost laughed, because I was terrified, but not just of him. I was afraid of how my body leaned into his hands, how my breath stuttered when his thumb traced the edge of my mouth, how, for the first time in years, I felt something sharper than pain. Alive. He moved to the bruises on my collarbone. His jaw tightened. "Who did this?" "My ex." My voice came out broken. "Stefano." "Where is he?" "Still at the club, looking for me." Leandro pulled out his phone, sent a text. His eyes never left my face. 30 seconds later, the phone buzzed. He read the response. His expression darkened. Full name? Stefano Ricci. He typed it in. Another response came quickly. His jaw tightened. Stefano Ricci. Low-level enforcer for the Santoro family. Recent recruit. Been with them about 6 months. He set the phone down. He won't find you here. My stomach dropped. He works for the Santoro family? You didn't know? No. We broke up 6 months ago. He was just Stefano. A bartender. A liar. A drunk. My voice shook. When did he? Right after you left him, according to my sources. Volpe recruited him. Probably saw an angry man with violence in him and put him to use. The pieces clicked into place. Stefano hadn't just been my abusive ex. He'd become something worse. And tonight, he'd been at the club on Santoro business. He'll try to find me, I whispered. He always does. He won't. Leandro's voice dropped to something absolute. Final. Not anymore. He finished cleaning my wounds in silence. Then he stood, towering over me. You'll stay tonight. Rest. Tomorrow we'll talk. I don't have anywhere else to go. Then you'll stay longer. He turned toward the hallway, stopped. What's your name? Natalia. Natalia Valenti. He repeated it, slowly, like he was committing it to memory. Sleep, Natalia. You're safe here. He gave me his bed and took the couch. I lay awake staring at the ceiling, listening to the rain against the windows. I wondered how many lives he'd ended. I wondered why he hadn't ended mine for invading his car. I wondered why, when he thought I was asleep, he stood in the doorway watching me like I was something rare and fragile. I wondered what Stefano would do when he realized I'd vanished, and into whose hands. I wondered what Leandro's protection would cost, because men like him don't save women out of mercy. They possess them. And I still don't know why he decided to possess me. I only know that when he whispered, "You're mine now," something inside me answered. Something reckless. Something starved. Something that terrifies me more than Stefano's violence ever could. Because I think I want to belong to him, even if it burns us both to ash. I close my eyes and still feel his thumb against my lip. I still hear his voice in the silence. You're mine now. And God help me. I think I already was. I woke to sunlight streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows and the smell of espresso. For a moment, I forgot where I was. Then my ribs protested as I sat up, and everything came rushing back. The trunk, the rain, his hands on my face. You're mine now. I was still wearing my torn dress from last night, dried blood stiff against the fabric. My feet were bare and filthy, the cuts from running still raw. The bedroom door was open. I stood slowly, testing my weight. Everything hurt, but nothing was broken. Stefano had been careful about that. He always was, until last night. I walked into the main living space, sleek, modern, minimalist, in a way that spoke of wealth so old it didn't need to prove itself. Leandro stood at the kitchen counter, pouring espresso into a small cup. He wore black trousers and a white dress shirt, sleeves rolled to his elbows. His hair was damp from a shower. He looked up when I entered. Sit. Not a request. I sat at the glass dining table. He brought me the espresso, then a plate with bread, cheese, prosciutto. Simple, perfect. Eat. I picked up the bread. My hands were shaking. He watched me for a moment. Then he sat across from me, his own cup in hand. How do you feel? Sore. The worst of the bruising will fade in a few days. I took a sip of espresso. It was the best I'd ever tasted. You didn't ask me last night, I said. Why I was running? I didn't need to ask. I could see. And you just took me in? A stranger bleeding in your trunk? His eyes held mine. Black. Unreadable. You weren't running from the police. You weren't armed. You were terrified. He paused. Men who hurt women are cowards. I don't tolerate cowards. So you're what? Rescuing me? I'm keeping you. The words landed between us like a blade. I'm not a pet. No, you're not. He leaned back in his chair. But you're also not safe out there. Stefano Ricci works for the Santoro family now. Low-level enforcer, muscle, but connected enough to have eyes everywhere. My stomach dropped. You know him? I know of him now. I had my people look into him this morning while you slept. His voice was silk over steel. He won't touch you again. He'll look for me. Let him. There was something in the way he said it, something cold and certain. I set down my cup. What are you going to do? Nothing you need to worry about. Leandro? Eat, Natalia. I wanted to argue, but the truth was, I was starving and exhausted, and for the first time in 3 years, I felt something close to safe. So I ate. He watched me the entire time. When I finished, he stood. There are clothes in the closet, basic things, t-shirts, jeans. I had to guess your size. Shower, rest. I have business this morning. What am I supposed to do? Whatever you want. You're not a prisoner. But I'm not free to leave. He smiled. Slow. Dangerous. You're free to try. Then he was gone. I spent the morning exploring the penthouse. It was massive. 3 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms, a kitchen that looked like it had never been used, an office with locked filing cabinets, and a wall of security monitors showing every entrance to the building. I shouldn't have looked. But I did. The screens showed the lobby, the garage, the elevator, the hallways, men in dark suits stationed at every exit, armed, alert. This wasn't just a home. It was a fortress. I stared at those monitors for a long time, memorizing exits, watching patterns, some old survival instinct cataloging information I might need. Later, I would learn that Leandro reviewed the security footage every evening, that he saw me standing there, studying his defenses, that he made a choice in that moment to trust me anyway. But I didn't know that then. I found the clothes he'd mentioned, simple things, men's t-shirts that hung loose on me, jeans that were close, but not perfect, like he'd guessed in the dark. I showered for the first time in days, without Stefano pounding on the door, screaming about wasting water. The hot water felt like a baptism. I stood under the spray until my skin was pink and the bathroom was thick with steam. Then I wrapped myself in a towel and stared at my reflection. My lip was swollen. A bruise darkened my left cheekbone. Fingerprints circled my throat like a necklace. I looked like a victim. I hated it. I dressed in one of his t-shirts and the jeans, barefoot. My feet were too torn up for shoes. When I came out, a woman was in the kitchen. She was younger than me, maybe 25. Dark hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. Beautiful, in that effortless Italian way. She wore tailored pants and a silk blouse, and when she saw me, she smiled. You must be Natalia. I froze. Who are you? Julia, Leandro's cousin. She moved to the espresso machine like she owned the place. He called, told me to check on you. Make sure you had everything you needed. I'm fine. You don't look fine. She poured 2 cups, brought one to me. But you will be. I took the cup. Does he do this often? Bring home strays? Julia laughed. Never. You're the first. Lucky me. You are, actually. She sat on the couch, curling her legs under her. My cousin doesn't let people in. Not like this. He didn't let me in. I broke into his car. And he could have had you killed, or dumped on the street, or handed you over to the Santoro family as a peace offering. Her eyes were sharp, assessing. But he brought you here, to his private space. That means something. It means I'm useful. Maybe. Or maybe you're something else. I didn't know what to say to that. Julia studied me for a long moment. Then she smiled again. I like you. You're not afraid of him. I'm terrified of him. No, you're terrified of what you feel around him. That's different. She was too perceptive. I changed the subject. What does he do? Leandro. You don't know? I know he's connected, but not the details. Julia set down her cup. My cousin runs the largest shipping operation in southern Italy, legitimate and otherwise. He controls the ports, the unions, the distribution networks. If it moves through Naples, he gets a cut. So he's a criminal. He's a businessman who operates outside the law when the law is inconvenient. She shrugged. It's the family trade. Our fathers built the foundation together. They were brothers. Both died in a territorial dispute when Leandro was 24 and I was 20. Leandro inherited everything. I'm sorry. Don't be. They knew the risks. Her expression softened. Leandro raised me after that. More like a brother than a cousin. That's why we're so close. And you? I handle the legitimate side. Real estate, investments. I'm the acceptable face of the Ferrante family. Her smile turned sharp. Leandro handles everything else. Everything else, meaning. You don't want details, Natalia. Trust me. She was right. I didn't. But I was starting to realize I didn't need them. Because whatever Leandro was, criminal, king, monster, he was also the only thing standing between me and Stefano. And I was choosing to stay. We spent the afternoon together. Julia told me about growing up Ferrante, about their grandfather who'd built an empire from nothing, about their fathers who died in a territorial dispute when she and Leandro were young. Leandro became head of the family when he was 26, she said. Too young. Everyone thought he'd fail. The other families circled like sharks. But he didn't fail. No, he was ruthless, strategic. He crushed anyone who challenged him. She looked at me. He's softened since then, not much, but enough. I think he was tired of being alone. He has you. That's different. I'm family, obligation. She reached over and squeezed my hand. Your choice. That's rare for him. I didn't know how to respond to that, so I just squeezed back. Come on, Julia said, standing. We're going shopping. You need real clothes, and your feet need proper attention. I can't. You can with me. She hooked her arm through mine. My cousin's orders. Plus, I already arranged security. We spent 3 hours in boutiques I'd never dared enter before. Julia insisted on comfortable shoes first. Your feet need time, she said, eyeing the healing cuts. She bought me soft leather flats that felt like clouds. Then came the clothes. Designer labels. Perfect fit. By the time we returned to the penthouse, I had a wardrobe that could fill a closet. Thank you, I said as we unloaded bags. You didn't have to. I wanted to. She squeezed my hand. You're family now, and family takes care of each other. Family. The word settled over me like a blanket. I hadn't had family in 7 years. Leandro returned at sunset. Julia had left an hour before, pressing her phone number into my hand and making me promise to call if I needed anything. I was curled on the couch with a book I'd found on his shelf, Dante's Inferno, in Italian, when the door opened. He looked different, tired. There was tension in his shoulders I hadn't seen before. He saw me looking, said nothing, just walked to the bedroom and closed the door. I heard the shower run. When he emerged 20 minutes later, he was in fresh clothes. The tension remained. He poured himself whiskey. Neat. Drank it, standing at the window. Did something happen? I asked. He didn't turn. Business. Bad business? Complicated business. I stood, walked to him, my bare feet silent on the marble, the cuts healing now, thanks to Julia's care. What did you do? He finally looked at me. His eyes were empty, flat. I sent a message, made it clear you're under my protection, that touching you means war with the Ferrante family. And the messenger understood, eventually. He said it so calmly, like violence was just another business transaction. I should have been horrified. I wasn't. Will it work? The message? For now. Stefano isn't stupid enough to cross me directly. But he's angry, proud. And angry, proud men make mistakes. So I'm bait. You're protected? Those aren't the same thing. He turned to face me fully, set down his glass, stepped close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. You want to leave? I'll arrange it. New city, new identity, money. You'll disappear. And if I stay? Then you're mine, completely. No going back. My heart was pounding. What does that mean? It means you live here, under my protection, in my world. His hand came up, fingers brushing my bruised cheek. It means I decide who gets close to you, who's a threat, how to handle them. That sounds like a prison. It's a cage made of steel and violence, but you'll be safe inside it. I should have walked away. I should have demanded he help me disappear. Instead, I asked, what if I want to stay? Something shifted in his expression. Hunger, possession. Then you stay. His thumb traced my lower lip. The cut had scabbed over. I'm not a good man, Natalia. I know. I've done things that would make you run. I'm not running. You should. But I'm not. He stared at me, searching for something. Fear, maybe. Hesitation. He wouldn't find it. Because somewhere between the trunk and this moment, I'd made my choice. I'd rather be possessed by a monster than destroyed by a coward. His hand slid into my hair, gentle, controlled. If you stay, there are rules. Tell me. You don't leave without security. You don't contact anyone from your old life. You don't ask about my business. Okay? And you don't lie to me. Ever. I won't. Say it. I won't lie to you. His grip tightened slightly, not painful, possessive. One more thing. What? You're mine. Not because I'm keeping you prisoner, but because you choose it. Every day. If you want to leave, you tell me. I'll let you go. I didn't believe him, but I also didn't care. I'm not leaving. We'll see. Then he kissed me. It wasn't gentle. It wasn't soft. It was claiming. His mouth covered mine, demanding entry. I opened for him, tasting whiskey and something darker. His hand fisted in my hair, angling my head exactly where he wanted it. I should have felt trapped. I felt free. For the first time in 3 years, I was kissing someone who didn't make me small, who didn't need me weak to feel strong. Leandro kissed me like I was a challenge he intended to win, and I kissed him back like I'd already surrendered. When he pulled away, we were both breathing hard. Go to bed, Natalia. Why? Because if you don't, I won't be able to stop myself. Maybe I don't want you to stop. His eyes darkened. His jaw clenched. For a long moment, we stood there, the tension between us thick enough to cut. Then he stepped back, put distance between us. Not tonight. You're still healing. Leandro, not tonight, he repeated. Firm. Final. When it happens, it won't be when you're vulnerable. It won't be when you're still carrying his bruises. The gentleness in his voice undid me. Go to bed, he said again. Softer this time. I went. But I didn't sleep. I lay in his bed, staring at the ceiling, my lips still burning from his kiss. And I knew. I was falling for a man who could kill without hesitation. A man who owned half of Naples through blood and fear. A man who looked at me like I was the only thing in his world worth protecting. I was falling, and I didn't want to stop. I woke the next morning to find Leandro already gone. A note on the nightstand, written in sharp, elegant script. Business. Back tonight. Stay inside. L. I spent the day reading, exploring, learning the rhythms of his home. The guards changed shifts at 8. The housekeeper came at 10, left by noon. The phone rang twice, both times answered by the security system. I was a ghost in a gilded cage, and I didn't mind. That evening, Leandro returned earlier than expected. How was your day? He asked, loosening his tie. Quiet. Yours? Productive. He poured whiskey. The Santora are backing off, for now. Because of your message. Because they're not stupid enough to start a war over one man's obsession with his ex-girlfriend. He sat beside me on the couch. Close. His thigh pressed against mine. I need to tell you something, he said. What? The night you arrived, while you slept, I had my people go to your apartment to retrieve your belongings. I stiffened. My apartment was already burning when they got there. Stefano torched it the same night you escaped. While you were here sleeping, he was destroying everything you owned. My blood ran cold. He knew I'd left him. Yes, and he wanted to make sure you had nothing to come back to. Leandro's voice was calm, matter of fact. My people salvaged what they could from the perimeter before the fire spread. A few photographs, some jewelry, your laptop, damaged but recoverable. It's all in the guest room. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. He pulled out a phone, my phone. The screen was cracked, spiderwebbed from when I dropped it running. We also recovered this. It was in your purse. He handed it to me. I stared at it, my lifeline to my old world, to escape. Why are you giving this to me? Because I won't lie to you about taking it, and because I want you to see something. He reached over, turned it on, waited for it to boot up. 47 missed calls, all from Stefano. 23 voicemails. I didn't want to listen. Leandro did it for me. Put it on speaker. Stefano's voice filled the room. Slurred, desperate, threatening. Baby, please. I'm sorry. I didn't mean it. Come back. You stupid bitch. You think you can just leave me? I'll find you. I always find you. You're mine. You'll always be mine. The messages got progressively worse, more violent, more obsessed. Leandro turned it off. He called 17 times today alone, Leandro said quietly. I had my tech people trace his location. He's been searching for you, everywhere you've ever been. Your old university, your friends' apartments, coffee shops you used to visit. My stomach turned. I can make him stop, Leandro continued. Permanently. Or I can simply make sure he never finds you. Your choice. I looked at him. What's the difference? One ends with him dead. The other ends with him alive, but discouraged. You're asking me if I want you to kill him. I'm asking you what you need to feel safe. I thought about it. Really thought. Stefano had spent 3 years making my life hell, controlling me, hurting me, breaking me down piece by piece until I didn't recognize myself. But did I want him dead? Make him stop, I said finally. But don't kill him. Not yet. Not unless he forces your hand. Leandro nodded. Understood. He took the phone. I'd prefer you didn't use this. Not yet. The moment you turn it on and connect to a network, he can trace the signal. And I'd rather he not know exactly where you are. Okay. He looked surprised. Okay? You're right. I don't need it. Not yet. Something in his expression softened. You trust me. I'm choosing to. That's more than I deserve. I touched his face. Probably. He smiled, caught my hand, kissed my palm. Stay with me tonight, he said. Not in the guest room, with me. Okay. 3 days passed in a strange, suspended peace. Leandro worked, I read, Julia visited. We fell into a rhythm. Mornings, I woke to espresso already brewed. Evenings, Leandro came home and we ate together, talked. Not about his business, about everything else. Books, movies, childhood memories, the shape of our lives before they collided. He told me about learning to swim in the bay, about his father teaching him chess before he died, about the weight of inheriting an empire at 26. I told him about my parents, the accident that killed them when I was 19, the loneliness that came after, how I'd met Stefano at a bar 6 months later, desperate for connection, how I'd been 3 years into an accounting degree at university, how numbers had always made sense to me, clean, logical, predictable, how Stefano had slowly convinced me to drop out, said I was wasting my time, that I wasn't smart enough, that I should focus on him instead. How he'd seemed charming at first, attentive, until he wasn't. I didn't tell him everything about Stefano, not yet, but he didn't push. On the 4th night, I joined him at the window. He was staring out at the city, glass of whiskey in hand. Tell me about your family, I said. He glanced at me. Why? Because I'm living in your world, I should understand it. He considered this, then nodded. My grandfather built the Ferranti Empire in the 50s, started with smuggling cigarettes, moved to weapons, then shipping. By the time he died, we controlled every major port from Naples to Palermo. And your father? Continued the work, expanded it, made us legitimate enough to be respected, criminal enough to be feared. He and my uncle, Julia's father, ran it together. Brothers? Leandro's jaw tightened. They died in a territorial dispute when I was 24. Calabre's family ambushed them during a negotiation, and you took over. I was 26 by the time everything was settled. Too young, everyone said. The other families circled like sharks, thought I'd be easy prey. You weren't. No. His smile was cold. I was worse than my father. He built through alliances. I built through fear and precision. And now? Now they respect me. Or they pretend to. It amounts to the same thing. I stepped closer. What about Stefano? The Santoro family? They're testing boundaries, seeing if I'll retaliate for him torching your apartment and hunting you. Will you? Eventually. He looked at me. But not yet. Right now, they think you're leverage, a weakness. Am I? Yes. The honesty of it stole my breath. Then why keep me here? Because some things are worth the risk. He said it simply, like it was obvious. I didn't know what to say. He turned back to the window. Julia told me you've been reading Dante. Your copy. I hope that's okay. It belonged to my mother. She loved poetry. Belonged? She died when I was 12. Cancer. I'm sorry. Don't be. She had a good death. Surrounded by family. No regrets. He paused. That's rare in our world. What's common? Violence. Betrayal. Dying alone because you trusted the wrong person. Is that what you're afraid of? He laughed, low and bitter. I'm not afraid of dying, Natalia. I'm afraid of failing, of letting the family fall because I was weak. You're not weak. Everyone's weak for something. He looked at me when he said it. The air between us shifted, charged. I should have stepped back. Instead, I moved closer. What are you weak for? His eyes darkened. You're playing a dangerous game. Maybe I like danger. You don't know what you're asking for. Then show me. He moved so fast I didn't see it coming. One moment I was standing. The next, my back was against the window, his body pinning me there. His hand cupped my throat, not squeezing, just holding, owning. I'm not a good man, he said, voice rough. I've killed. I've destroyed. I've done things that would make you hate me. I don't care. You should. But I don't. His thumb brushed my pulse. It was racing. If I start this, there's no going back. I won't be able to let you go. Good. Natalia, I'm choosing this. I'm choosing you. Something in him broke. He kissed me like he was drowning, and I was air. His mouth was demanding, consuming, perfect. I kissed him back with everything I had. 3 years of being told I was worthless, 3 years of flinching, 3 years of fear, all of it burning away under his touch. His hand slid from my throat to my hair, fisting tight. His other hand gripped my waist, pulling me flush against him. I could feel the tension in his body, the barely restrained need. He broke the kiss, breathing hard. His forehead rested against mine. Tell me to stop. No. Last chance. I don't want you to stop. He pulled back just enough to look at me. His eyes were black, intense. Then come with me. He took my hand and led me to the bedroom. The room was dark, except for the city lights filtering through the windows. He turned to face me, his hands gentle as they cupped my face. You're sure? I've never been more sure of anything. He kissed me again, slower this time, deeper. I felt his heartbeat against mine, felt the tremor in his hands as they held me. Natalia, he whispered against my lips. You have no idea what you do to me. Show me. He looked at me for a long moment. Then he stepped back, just slightly, creating space between us. Not like this, he said quietly. Not when you're still healing. Not when part of you is still afraid. I'm not afraid of you. I know. But you're afraid of this. Of what it means. His hand traced my cheek. And I won't take that from you when you're not ready. When we do this, and we will, it'll be because you're whole, not broken, not running from something else. Tears burned my eyes. You're protecting me from yourself. I'm protecting you from my need to possess you before you're ready to be possessed. The words hung between us. Raw, honest, devastating. Stay with me anyway, he said. Just stay. Let me hold you. That's enough for tonight. And so I did. We lay down together, fully clothed, his arms wrapped around me, my head on his chest, his heartbeat steady beneath my ear. Thank you, I whispered. For what? For seeing me, not just what I'm running from. His arms tightened. I see you, Natalia, every part of you. I fell asleep like that, safe, cherished, whole. And when I woke in the morning, he was still there, still holding me, like he'd promised. The days blended together after that. We existed in a strange liminal space. Not quite lovers, not quite strangers, something deeper, something patient. Leandro was careful with me, gentle. He'd kiss me goodnight, hold me while I slept, but he never pushed for more. When you're ready, he'd say. Not before. It made me want him more. A week passed, then two. The bruises faded, the cuts healed. I started sleeping through the night without nightmares. I started laughing again. Real laughter. Not the nervous, appeasing sound I'd learned with Stefano. Leandro noticed everything. You're different, he said one evening. We were cooking together. Something simple. Pasta. Different how? Lighter? Like you're remembering who you were before. Maybe I am. Good. He kissed my temple. I want to know that person. You might not like her. I already do. And I believed him. But the healing wasn't linear. 2.5 weeks in, something triggered me. We were in the kitchen. Leandro reached past me to grab a pot from the upper cabinet. His arm came down fast, not toward me, just moving. And I flinched, hard, ducked, arms coming up to protect my head. The pot clattered to the counter. Silence. I stood there, shaking, hating myself for the reaction. Natalia. His voice was soft, careful. I couldn't look at him. I'm sorry. I don't know why I... Don't apologize. He stepped back, giving me space. You don't apologize for that. Ever. I finally looked up. His expression was carefully neutral, but his eyes held something fierce, protective. He trained you to flinch, Leandro said quietly. That's not your fault. That's his. I thought I was past it. Healing isn't a straight line. You'll have good days and hard days. That's normal. You're not angry? Angry? He looked genuinely confused. Why would I be angry at you for being hurt? Because Stefano always was. I didn't say it out loud. I didn't have to. Leandro saw it anyway. Come here, he said. I went. He pulled me into his arms, just held me. No demands, no expectations. You're safe, he murmured into my hair. You're always safe with me. And if you flinch every day for the next 10 years, I'll still be here. Patient, careful, giving you space. Something in me broke. I cried against his chest. Not for Stefano, not for what he'd done, for what I'd survived, for the fact that I was still here, still fighting, still becoming. Leandro held me through all of it. When the tears finally stopped, he tilted my chin up. Better? Yes. Good. He kissed my forehead. Now, let's try this again. But this time, I'll tell you before I move. No surprises. And he did. From that day forward, he was careful about sudden movements, would warn me before reaching past me, before coming up behind me. Small things. That meant everything. 3 weeks after I'd climbed into his trunk, I made my decision. Leandro was in his office, working late. I'd been reading in bed, but sleep wouldn't come. I'd been thinking about choices, about healing, about the fact that I hadn't flinched in 5 days, about the fact that when I looked at him, I didn't see threat anymore. I saw home. I walked to his office, knocked. Come in. He looked up from his papers. Surprise flickered across his face. You should be sleeping. I can't. Nightmares? No. I closed the door behind me, walked to his desk. I'm ready. He went very still. Ready for what? You know what? He stood slowly, came around the desk, stopped in front of me. Are you sure? I've never been more sure of anything. Natalia, I'm not broken anymore, Leandro. I'm not running from something else. I'm running toward you, toward this, toward us. His hand cupped my face. If we do this, I know. No going back. I don't want to go back. He searched my eyes, looking for doubt, hesitation. He wouldn't find it. "Tell me what you want," he said quietly. "I want you. All of you. I want to belong to you, the way you already belong to me." Something in his expression cracked, softened. "You already have me," he said. "You've had me since the moment I opened that trunk." Then he kissed me, different from before, slower, deeper, like we had all the time in the world. His hands were gentle as they moved through my hair, down my back, holding me like I was something precious. I kissed him back with everything I had. 3 years of fear, 3 weeks of healing, all of it pouring into this moment. He pulled back, breathing hard, his forehead resting against mine. "If it's too much, it won't be. If it is, you tell me. Promise me." "I promise." He lifted me into his arms. I wrapped my legs around his waist. He carried me to the bedroom. The city lights painted silver across the room. He set me down, gently. "I want to see you," he said. "All of you. But only what you're ready to show me." I understood what he was asking. Consent, choice, control, everything Stefano had stolen. Everything Leandro was giving back. "I trust you," I said. "Don't. Not completely. Not yet." His voice was rough. "Make me earn it. Make me prove I'm worthy of it." "You already have. Then let me keep proving it." What happened next belonged to us alone. The world outside ceased to exist. The danger, the violence, the fear. There was only this. Only us. Only the feeling of being seen, wanted, cherished. For the first time in my life, intimacy didn't feel like surrender. It felt like claiming. We claimed each other. I woke hours later, wrapped in his arms, his breathing steady against my neck. In the darkness, I allowed myself to feel it. Safe, cherished, alive. His arms tightened around me, even in sleep, like he was afraid I'd disappear. I pressed closer, my hand over his heart. "I'm not going anywhere," I whispered. And I meant it. Whatever came next, whatever darkness waited outside these walls, I would face it with him. Because this, right here, was worth fighting for. He was worth fighting for. We were worth fighting for. I fell back asleep, listening to his heartbeat. Steady, strong, real. And for the first time in 3 years, I didn't have nightmares. The call changed everything. 3 days after that night, Leandro's phone rang at dawn. I was still half asleep when he answered, listened. His entire body went rigid. "When?" Pause. "How many?" Another pause. "Lock it down. I'm coming." He hung up, looked at me. "We need to go. Now." What happened? The Santoro family made a move. They've been planning to hit my eastern port operations for weeks. Separate territorial dispute over shipping routes I've been expanding into. One of my men just confirmed they're moving tonight. His jaw was tight. And Stefano's been feeding them information. Convinced them that hitting me now, while I'm distracted with you, will give them the advantage they need. My blood ran cold. So, this isn't just about me. No, the port conflict's been brewing for months, but you gave Stefano an angle to push them into action now. He's trying to prove his worth to the Santoro by handing them what he thinks is my weakness. He was already pulling clothes from the closet. "The estate is more secure. We leave in 10 minutes. I threw clothes into a bag. My hands were shaking. This was real. This was the world I'd chosen. Blood, violence, war. And I was at the center of it. Leandro doubled security immediately. Men I didn't recognize appeared. Cameras, weapons. The entire penthouse became a military operation in minutes. "Stay close to me," Leandro said as we headed to the car. Don't leave my sight. I didn't argue. The estate was a fortress, 40 acres of walled property an hour north of Naples, stone buildings that had stood for 300 years, gardens that had gone wild with beauty, and enough armed men to hold off a small army. Leandro's family home, the place where he'd learned to be what he was. Julia met us at the entrance. She hugged me tight. "Welcome to the madness," she murmured. Inside was different from the penthouse. Old money, antique furniture, frescoed ceilings, portraits of dead Ferrantes staring down from the walls, generations of power. Leandro led me upstairs to a bedroom suite. "You'll stay here. Don't leave the grounds without telling me. Don't go anywhere alone." "For how long?" "Until it's over. And if it's never over," he looked at me, "then you'll stay forever." He meant it, and I realized I didn't hate the idea. Days blurred together. Leandro was gone most of the time. Strategy meetings, coordinating defenses, moving pieces I couldn't see. But the violence stayed outside the walls. He made sure of that. Julia kept me company, taught me Italian, told me stories about growing up Ferrante. Our fathers died when Leandro was 24 and I was 20, she said one evening. We were in the garden, watching the sun set over the hills. Calabrese's family ambushed them during a negotiation. Killed them both. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. They knew the risks." She smiled sadly. Leandro had it worse. He inherited everything overnight. The empire, the enemies, the responsibility. I think that's why he's like this with you. You're the first thing he's chosen for himself. Not for the family, not for power, just for him. He doesn't talk about it. He doesn't talk about anything. But I see it. The way he looks at you, like you're the only real thing in his world. My chest tightened. I don't want to be his weakness. You're not. You're his strength. She touched my hand. Don't leave him, Natalia. He won't survive it. I'm not going anywhere. Good. That night, Leandro came to my room. It was late. I was half asleep. He slid into bed beside me, fully clothed, and pulled me against him. "Tell me about your family," he said quietly. I stiffened. "Why?" "Because I want to know." I was silent for a long moment. Then, "My parents died when I was 19. Car accident. I had no siblings, no extended family." My voice was flat. I was alone. That's how Stefano found me. Saw an easy target. "How long were you with him?" 3 years. "And he hurt you the whole time?" "Not at first. First few months, he was perfect, charming, attentive. Then it started. Small things. Criticizing my clothes, my friends, isolating me." I swallowed hard. By the time he hit me the first time, I had nowhere to go. No one to call. Leandro's arms tightened around me. "I'm sorry." "Don't be. It made me strong. It made you a survivor." "Same thing." He kissed my temple. "Not anymore. You don't have to survive. You can live. With you. If you want. I want." He turned me to face him. His eyes were black in the darkness. "I need you to understand something." "What?" "This situation with the Santoro. It's going to get worse before it gets better. There will be consequences. People will get hurt." His voice was absolute. "I will do whatever it takes to keep you safe. Whatever it takes. If that makes you hate me, tell me now." I should have been horrified. I should have begged for a different way. Instead, I said, "I trust you." Something shifted in his expression. Relief, hunger. "You mean that?" "Yes." "You're not afraid of what I might have to do." "I'm terrified of what you might have to do, but I'm choosing you anyway." He kissed me then, deep and slow. His hands moved over me, gentle but possessive. Like he was reminding himself I was real. I was here. I was his. I kissed him back with the same intensity, my fingers tangling in his hair. We moved together in the darkness, slow and deliberate, like we had all the time in the world, like nothing outside this room mattered. His touch was reverent, worshipful, and when he whispered, "I love you," against my skin, I felt it in my bones. "I love you too," I breathed. We stayed like that for hours, talking, touching, existing in our own world. "I've never wanted to keep someone before," he said. "Never cared enough. And now? Now I'd face down hell itself to keep you safe." I believed him. That was the terrifying part. I believed every word. The war escalated over the next 2 weeks. 2 of Leandro's men were killed in skirmishes at the ports. A shipment was intercepted. The Santoro were pushing hard, testing his limits. But Leandro was strategic, calculating. He didn't retaliate with blind violence. He dismantled them piece by piece. A supplier here, a route there, quiet pressure on their political connections. The violence was surgical, precise, and kept far from the estate, far from me. Leandro became harder, colder, except with me. With me, he was still gentle, still careful, like I was the only soft thing in his world. One night, I found him in his office, staring at a map of Naples covered in red pins. "What are those?" I asked. "Targets." "For what?" "Pressure points, places where the Santoro are vulnerable." I walked closer, studied the map. "This one." I pointed to a pin on the east side. "What is it?" "Santoro warehouse, the hub of their distribution network." "When?" "Tomorrow night." I looked at him. "Will there be violence?" "I hope not, but I'm prepared for it, if necessary." "And Stefano?" Leandro's jaw tightened. "He's with them. He's been feeding them bad information, telling them I'm weak because of you, that my focus is divided. But he's reckless, drunk half the time, high the other half, making mistakes. Eventually, he'll make one big enough that I won't have to do anything. He'll destroy himself. And if he doesn't, then I'll handle it when the time is right." I should have argued, should have begged for mercy. But I couldn't, because part of me wanted Stefano gone, permanently, and Leandro saw it in my eyes. "You want him dealt with," he said quietly. "I want to never be afraid again. You won't be. I promise you that." He pulled me close, kissed my forehead. "I love you, Natalia. Everything I'm doing, all of this. It's to build a world where you're safe, where we're safe. I know. And you still love me? More than ever." He held me tighter. "I don't deserve you." "Probably not. But you're stuck with me anyway." He laughed softly. "Forever?" "Forever." The warehouse operation happened on a Tuesday. Leandro had been planning it for days. Not a violent raid. Something smarter. City inspectors, fire code violations, suddenly discovered evidence of illegal activity that would tie the Santoro up in legal battles for months. Bloodless, efficient, devastating. I waited at the estate with Julia. We sat in the library, pretending to read. My phone buzzed. "Leandro, it's done. Coming home." Relief flooded through me. "It worked," I told Julia. She smiled. "Of course it did. My cousin doesn't fail." But the relief was short-lived, because Stefano made his move 2 days later. I was in the garden with Julia when the alarm started. Not loud. Just a subtle change in the security system's hum. Julia's phone rang. She answered, listened. Her face went pale. "Inside. Now." We ran. Men were moving with practiced efficiency. No panic, just controlled urgency. Leandro appeared from his office. His face was stone. Basement! Both of you! Now! What's happening? I demanded. Stefano. He tried to breach the perimeter with 2 Santoro men, drunk from what my team reports, sloppy. My security team intercepted them at the outer gate before they got within 100 meters of the house. They're contained. But I need you safe while we handle this. He wasn't asking. Julia grabbed my arm. Come on! The basement was a panic room. Reinforced walls, supplies, monitors showing every camera feed. We watched the screens. 3 men on the ground outside the gate, surrounded by Leandro's security, hands raised. One of them was Stefano. Even on the grainy feed, I recognized him. He was swaying, shouting something I couldn't hear. My stomach turned. He's insane, Julia whispered. Coming here like this, drunk. He's desperate, I said. The Santoro are losing because of the warehouse bust. He's losing. He's got nothing left. Leandro appeared on the screen, walking toward the 3 men with deliberate calm. He spoke. I couldn't hear what he said, but I saw Stefano's face, saw the moment he realized he'd lost. Leandro made a gesture. His men hauled the 3 captives to their feet. Then the feed cut to the front drive. The 3 men were forced to their knees. Leandro stood in front of them. He spoke again, longer this time. Then he made another gesture. His men pulled the captives to their feet and led them to a vehicle. They were driven away. Leandro walked back inside. 5 minutes later, the basement door opened. He looked tired, but unhurt. It's over, he said. What did you do? I asked. Sent them back to the Santoro with a message and evidence. His eyes were cold. The message. This ends now. The port war is settled on my terms. Natalia is off limits. Touch my family again. And I don't respond with lawyers and inspectors. I respond with everything I have. They'll listen? They'll listen. Because I also gave them proof that Stefano has been feeding them false information, making them vulnerable, exaggerating my distraction to push them into a war they're now losing. He looked at Stefano's image frozen on the monitor. Drunk, reckless, a liability. They'll handle him themselves. My breath caught. What does that mean? It means he's their problem now, not mine. And they don't tolerate liabilities, especially ones who cost them money and territory. Julia's eyes widened. You turned them against him. I gave them the truth. What they do with it is their choice. It was brilliant, cold, brutal, and it meant Stefano's fate was sealed without Leandro ever touching him. Is it really over? I asked. Yes. He pulled me close. It's really over. 3 days later, we got confirmation. Stefano Ricci had been found dead in his apartment. An apparent suicide, according to the police report. No one believed it was suicide, but no one investigated either. The Santoro had cleaned up their mess, and Leandro had kept his hands clean. I should have felt guilty. I didn't. I felt free. For the first time in 3 years, I could breathe without fear. Stefano was gone. The threat was gone. I was safe. We were safe. That night, Leandro came to find me in the garden. I was sitting on a bench, staring at the stars. He sat beside me, took my hand. How do you feel? Free, I said honestly. Is that wrong? No. He kissed my knuckles. It's human. I should feel something. Guilt, sadness, something. Why? He terrorized you, hurt you, tried to use you as leverage in a war. His voice was quiet. You don't owe him grief. I know. But there was a time when I thought, I don't know what I thought. You thought maybe you'd loved him once. Yes. Did you? I thought about it, really thought. No, I said finally. I loved the person he pretended to be. But that person never existed. It was always a mask. And when the mask came off, there was nothing underneath but anger and need to control. Leandro was quiet for a moment. Then, I need to tell you something. What? I didn't have him killed. I want you to know that. I didn't give any orders, didn't pay anyone. I just gave the Santoro the information they needed to see him clearly. What they did with that information was their choice. I know. And you're okay with that? Yes. I looked at him. I know what you are, Leandro. I know what you're capable of. And I love you anyway, not despite it, just alongside it. His hand cupped my face. I don't deserve you. We've established that. He smiled. Have we? Yes. Multiple times. But you're stuck with me anyway. Good. He kissed me softly. Because I'm never letting you go. I'm counting on it. We sat there under the stars, his arm around me, my head on his shoulder. Safe. Together. Free. What happens now? I asked. Now we live, he said. Really live. No more looking over our shoulders. No more wars. Just us. Just us sounds perfect. It does, doesn't it? And it was. 6 months later, the war with the Santoro was truly over. Not just a ceasefire, a genuine peace. Leandro had consolidated the disputed port territory, absorbed some of it through negotiation, not violence, expanded the legitimate operations until they dwarfed the illegal ones. He was transitioning, slowly, carefully, building something that could last. And through it all, I stayed. Not as a prisoner, not as a weakness, as his partner. I learned the family business, not the violence. That was his burden to bear. But the legitimate operations, the shipping manifests, the port schedules, the investments, I had a mind for numbers, for patterns, for seeing opportunities others missed. Those 3 years of accounting education I'd abandoned for Stefano came flooding back. I'd thought that knowledge was wasted, lost. It wasn't. Leandro noticed. You're already running half of this, he said one night. We were in his office, reviewing contracts. Make it official. Partner with Julia and me. I'm not family. You are family. He looked at me. You've been family since the moment I found you in my trunk. That was chance. No, that was fate. I smiled. You don't believe in fate. I believe in you. And so I did. I took over operations alongside Julia. Real estate acquisitions, import-export licensing, infrastructure investments. We made a good team. The Ferranti empire grew. Clean, powerful, legitimate. And I was at the center of it. Not hidden, not ashamed. Proud. We never got married. Julia asked about it 2 years after Stefano's death, during one of our weekly dinners. When's the wedding? I looked at Leandro. He looked at me. Never, we said in unison. She laughed. Why not? Because we don't need it, I said. We don't need paper or priests or rings to prove what we are. And what are you? Leandro's hand found mine. Everything. Julia smiled. Good answer. The truth was, marriage felt like a relic, a tradition built for people who needed external validation of their commitment. We didn't. Every morning, I woke up and chose him. Every night, he came home and chose me. That was more binding than any vow. We built a life, not normal, never normal, but ours. I still lived at the estate most of the time, safer there. And I liked it, the gardens, the old stone, the weight of history. I learned to shoot. Leandro insisted, said if I was going to live in his world, I needed to defend myself. Paolo trained me. week after week in the estate's private shooting range, teaching me not just to shoot, but to think, to assess threats, to stay calm under pressure. "You're good at this," Paolo said one afternoon, watching me hit the center target 5 times in a row. "Numbers and patterns," I said. "Trajectory is just math." He laughed. "The boss chose well. I became good at it. Good enough that Leandro's men started treating me with a different kind of respect. Not just the boss's woman, part of the family. Sometimes we stayed at the penthouse. When Leandro had business in the city, he never hid what he did, never lied. And I never asked him to change, because I loved him exactly as he was. Monster. King. Mine. 3 years after I climbed into his trunk, I found myself in his office late one night. He was working. I was supposed to be sleeping, but I couldn't. I knocked softly. He looked up from his papers. "What's wrong?" he asked. "Nothing. Just thinking." "About?" I sat on the edge of his desk. "About how different my life would be if I'd chosen a different car that night." He set down his pen. "Regrets?" "None." I touched his face. "You?" "Not one." He pulled me onto his lap. "You know what I think?" "What?" "I think I would have found you anyway. Somehow." "How do you know?" "Because you're mine. You've always been mine. I just had to wait for you to realize it." I kissed him. Soft. Slow. "I realized it the moment you said it. You're mine now." "I know." He smiled. "And I'm yours." "I know that too." We sat there, his arms around me, my head on his shoulder. "Leandro?" "Yes?" "Thank you." "For what?" "For not letting me go." His arms tightened. "Never." 5 years after the night in the trunk, Leandro came home with news. I was in the garden, reading. The sun was setting, painting the sky in shades of gold and pink. He sat beside me, took the book. "I need to tell you something." "What?" "I'm transitioning out, completely. Over the next 2 years, I'm moving the family to fully legitimate operations." I stared at him. "Why?" "Because I'm tired. Because I want a life that doesn't require constant vigilance." He touched my face. "Because I want to grow old with you. And I can't do that if I'm always looking over my shoulder." "You don't have to change for me." "I'm not." 7 years after the war ended, Julia got married. A huge wedding. 300 guests, politicians, judges, business leaders from across Europe, all legitimate now. I stood beside her as she walked down the aisle. "Nervous?" I whispered. "Terrified." "You love him?" "More than anything." "Then you'll be fine." She squeezed my hand. I learned from the best. After the ceremony, Leandro pulled me onto the dance floor. "You look beautiful," he murmured. "You look dangerous." He smiled. "Always." We swayed together, his hand on my waist, mine on his shoulder. "Do you ever regret not having this?" he asked. "The wedding, the vows." "No." "Do you?" "No." He pulled me closer. "I don't need a ceremony to know you're mine." "Good. Because I'm not going anywhere." "I know." "How?" "Because you haven't run yet. And you've seen everything." He was right. I'd seen the blood, the violence, the darkness. I'd seen him make impossible choices, seen him carry burdens that would break most men. And I loved him anyway. Not despite what he was. Because of it. 10 years into his transition plan, Leandro called a family meeting. The legitimate businesses were thriving. The illegal operations had been quietly dismantled or sold off, carefully, strategically, without creating power vacuums that would destabilize the city. We were clean. Finally. "It's done," he announced to the room, his closest advisors, Julia, me. "The Ferrante family is legitimate, No more gray areas. No more looking over our shoulders. The room erupted in applause. I caught his eye across the table. He winked. Later, in private, I asked him, "How does it feel?" "Strange," he admitted. "I've been fighting my whole life. Now, there's nothing left to fight." "Is that bad?" "No." He pulled me close. "It's perfect." "What now?" "Now we live." And we did. 12 years after I climbed into Leandro Ferrante's trunk, I stood at the opening of the Valenti Foundation, a building dedicated to helping people escape violent situations, helping women build new lives, giving second chances to people born into impossible circumstances, named after my parents, funded by money Leandro and I had built together, built by me. Leandro stood beside me, older now, gray at the temples, still commanding. "They'd be proud," he said, looking at my parents' names above the door. "I hope so." "Are you happy?" I looked at the building, at what I'd built, at who I'd become, at the women filing through the doors, women who looked like I had 12 years ago, scared, desperate, hoping for a way out. "Yes," I said, "I am." "Good. That's what matters." I never had children. We talked about it once, decided this world, even cleaned up, was too uncertain, too heavy a burden to place on innocent shoulders. I built foundations instead, changed laws, helped thousands, created opportunities for people who'd never had them, became someone who mattered. And every Sunday morning, I go to the cemetery, place flowers on my parents' graves, and remember. That violence has consequences. That power corrupts. That love, real love, means giving someone the freedom to become who they're meant to be. I chose myself, but I also chose him. And together, we built something worth having. 15 years after that night in the trunk, I stood in our garden at the estate. Julia's children played nearby, 3 of them now, wild and beautiful. Leandro came up behind me, wrapped his arms around my waist, still strong, still dangerous, but softer now. Time had gentled him in ways I never expected. "Happy?" he asked. "Completely. No regrets?" "Not one." He kissed my temple. "Good." We stood there, together, in the life we'd built, dark and beautiful and completely ours. "I still don't need a ring or a priest to know you're mine and I'm yours," I said softly. He turned me in his arms. "Say that again." "You're mine. I'm yours. We don't need paper to prove it." He smiled, that rare, genuine smile he only ever gave me. "No, we don't." He kissed me, soft, deep, full of 15 years of choosing each other, every single day. I never meant to climb into his trunk, but I do it again, every time. Because some cages are made of steel and violence, and some are made of love. And I'd rather live in his, safe, protected, cherished, than free and alone. I'm his. He's mine. We don't need marriage to prove it. We don't need vows. We just need each other. And that's enough. It's always been enough. It always will be. If you've made it this far with me, you already know. Some loves are worth the danger. This story took hours to craft. Every word chosen to pull you deeper. If you want more dark romance that refuses to let go, subscribe. New stories every day. And if this one left you breathless, hit the like button. Let me know. I'm not the only one who craves the danger, because I'll keep telling these stories as long as you keep listening. See you in the next obsession.